We really liked the new Lamborghini Huracan when we first drove it in Spain a few months ago. And who wouldn't? With a screaming V10 engine in its tail and a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, the four-wheel drive Huracan is, on the surface at least, the classic Italian supercar, with an extra new dose of civility to go with it. But now it's Judgment Day. How good is it to drive back in the UK on roads we know well? And how fast is it around our favourite test track? So the Huracan in the UK at our favourite test track, what's it like? It sounds just like a Lamborghini should sound. It goes just like a Lamborghini should go. And I have to think it looks probably better than any Lamborghini in the last 20 years. Possibly, no, I'm not going to say ever, because there was the Countach, there was the Miura. But it has to be right up there with one of the best ever looking Lamborghinis. The Huracan's chassis is a hybrid design that consists of carbon fibre and aluminium. The passenger cell is made mostly from carbon, while the rest is fashioned from aluminium. The idea being to create a chassis that's almost as stiff and almost as light as a full carbon fibre tub, but without the time and expense this normally involves. And it works, except for one key thing. In its desire to attract a new kind of customer, Lamborghini has set the Huracan's chassis up to be absolutely as safe as possible. The track is wider at the front than it is at the back, and the four-wheel drive system is always trying to pull the car straight. As a result, the Huracan feels virtually unspinnable on the road, even with all its electric gizmos switched off. Unfortunately though, this also means it understeers on the track, as you can see. And that's maybe not such a welcome new feature. So what do you get for your money, for your 180 odd thousand pounds? You get 602 horsepower from a huge great V10 engine, that's great. You get a 7-speed dual clutch gearbox straight out of an R8 but with different software. That's great. You get a lovely new interior with this just brilliant new TFT digital dash display that has all sorts of different modes in it. That's great. The build quality is great. It feels really expensive, really pucker inside this car. And as I've said, the noise and the performance, there ain't nothing to complain about, and there's a lot to get very, very excited about. I mean, that is proper performance. You also get carbon ceramic brakes this time. The stopping power is immense, I have to say. And most of the time, the handling is very tidy. Bit of air through there. But there is one thing about the Huracan that I'm really, really struggling with, and it's got nothing to do with the way it feels or drives on the road, but it really matters on a track like this. It really does, and it actually gets quite close to ruining my enjoyment of the Huracan, because basically it understeers, and it either understeers a lot or massive amounts, depending on how hard you're trying. But surely, when you reach for the button up on the dash here that says ESC off, an enormous great big red light appears in the dashboard. Surely that should mean that you have turned everything off and that you are on your own behind the wheel. But it isn't. And it doesn't. As a result, you just lose the front end on this car all the time. It just pushes wide too much. I mean, look at that. Look at that understeer. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't bung it to kind of get it to go neutral. It never really goes neutral. It either understeers a bit or it understeers a lot.
The strange thing is that Audi's R8, which shares many parts with the Huracan, both new and old, is set up to be miles more playful at the limit. And yet you'd surely expect it to be the other way round, as in Audi equals safe, Lamborghini equals Larry. But in practice, the exact opposite is true, which to be honest seems a little bit weird.
But having said that, the rest of the car I think is just wonderful. It's such an enormous leap forwards over the Gallardo in so many ways. I think I'm almost prepared to forgive the fact that it understeers like a shopping trolley.
So is the Huracan's propensity to plough on no matter what really a key factor in the end? Or is it something that doesn't matter in the real world, on the public road? It depends what sort of driver you are. For most of us, and for most of the time, the Huracan is just a blindingly good new supercar. One that still makes all the right noises and has most of the right moves up its sleeve. But for anyone who used to like a Lamborghini because it was edgy and maybe slightly scary, the Huracan might just be a mild disappointment. Either way, you get the distinct impression that there's more to come from the Huracan. But for the moment, the jury's out.